Typically, I get up here and I do a speech, and I am mixing that up today. I've asked Dan Comite, where are you? There you are. I've asked him to come up and talk a little bit about his puppy raising experience. So Dan's a first-time raiser. His first puppy, Dreyfus III, is graduating today. And I wanted him to come up and talk just a little bit about what that process has meant to him. So come on up.
Hello to everyone, and for those back home watching, how's it going, Mom and Dad? I'm honored to speak on behalf of CCI and my fellow puppy raisers. It is without a doubt a day of mixed emotions for everyone here. Whether you're letting go or embracing a new member into your life, I think we can all agree that there are many moving parts culminating behind the scene. I feel that. When I was a kid, I begged my parents for a dog. My father said if I woke up at every morning at 6 a.m. and walked around the block for 1 month, I'd get one. I'm not even kidding. On the first alarm, I hit snooze. Thanks, Dad. The real story of how I came here today begins over 5 years ago when I was living and working in Washington, D.C. and commuting on a northbound in a bumpy and chaotic train car. A stop along my destination was at a university for deaf and blind students. One evening, a girl with obvious vision loss made her way onto the train. As the doors shut and the train jumped forward, her vulnerability became apparent to me. Then, as if all uncertainties became clear, a guardian beside her guided her safely to the nearest open seat. The dog tucked underneath her by her feet and showed no sign of acknowledgement to the mayhem swaying around her. It is obvious to me that she had her vision and her independence because of this dog. At the same time I was living in D.C., my best friend Sam was deployed in Afghanistan and serving in an Army infantry division. I was well aware that just a few miles from where I worked, Walter Reed Memorial Hospital was miraculously saving the lives of soldiers with combat injuries. Upon Sam's safe return home, it became clear to me that trauma doesn't only exist on the exterior. I realized the difference between an independence and a lifetime of struggles for both veterans and the girl on the train was bridged by a four-legged friend. So fast forward a few years later, I resettled to South Carolina, where I finally decided it was an appropriate time to get a dog. The only thing was, I knew nothing about them. It was then a special someone sent me a link to CCI and their efforts to place dogs with veterans. Thank you. I knew I wanted to be part of this process, but doubted my chances with the lack of dog experience that I had. Don't be misled by Dre's success. Honestly, Leanne and CCI's instructors held my hand through the whole way, and if it wasn't for them, Dre would be still be smuggling twigs in his gums on the way in from the outside. So I applied, I was screened, I was accepted, and the stork was coming to deliver a tiny golden ball of life, Dreyfus. I called Leanne every day in anticipation of his arrival, cramming all my last-minute questions like how to stop a dog from barking. Dre barked twice in 2 years. That's another true story. So the first night I had him after all the peeing had subsided, and he finally fell asleep on the floor. I snuck that in there. I rested my hand on his tiny frame to feel his heartbeat. I thought to myself, how did I become responsible for another living, breathing being? Literally, I could not cook pasta a few years before that. So for 2 years, he was my shadow, every adventure he followed by my side, enticing everyone with his gravitational pull. Sworn into my tribe, my family and friends instantly adopted him as one of ours, the golden boy. He left an enormous wake of attention and love in his past everywhere he went, spreading all the way home to New England, where my mom named him as her first grandson. He is honestly and truly the happiest spirit I ever met. I always said his heartbeat is large enough to change lives, and this is true for every dog here today, and that is what they'll do. Number 13416 is permanently on my knee, where his ear was usually fixed. Christy, I am so proud and happy that he's now an extension of yours. I always referred to Dreyfus as my puppy brother, and now I consider him you and my sister. I am grateful to share this bond with your family. Thanks to CCI and his team and the puppy raisers here today, networks, and their networks of support. These dogs have a larger purpose. The girl on the train, my best friend Sam, and all the graduate teams here today are testaments to that. So stay golden.